Okay, so in this video, we'll be talking about something I've been putting off for a while, but I think now is the right time to talk about it. Bitcoin is at 100K or just about, and more importantly, dominance is at 59%, having potentially just put in its macro top at 61.5%. I want to discuss the implications this will have on altcoin season and the chaotic art of trying to rotate Bitcoin into winning altcoins. So this will be a big one. But before that, a huge shout out to the first official channel sponsor, Altura. Now, I get a ton of inquiries of companies and tokens trying to sponsor the channel, which I pretty much ignore every single time except now, because Altura really is a great project. So if you're unaware, by far last cycle, they were one of the key technologies used in NFT technology into gaming. And yet again, throughout the bear market, unlike a lot of other companies, they kept developing and working and have built a cutting-edge technology to integrate AI into these games in the form of actual AI-powered NPCs. So it's kind of a big deal, and they're working with IMX and Unity. If you're unaware, the token's been going crazy. It'll easily clear the March highs, and then after that, it's pretty much a straight shot to 30 cents. I was so confused when they reached out because I was like, okay, I was gonna talk about the ALU token anyway as one of my top gaming small caps, and also I can confirm that a Bybit listing is coming soon. But back to the topic at hand. So like I said in the video a couple weeks ago, in the 2021 cycle, dominance topped 2 weeks after the break of all-time highs, and this time around yet again we put in a local top 2 weeks after the break of highs. Now whether this stays the macro top, for the sake of this video, if we assume it has, then there is a lot at stake right now. Most notably that altcoin season is therefore probably just getting started, which if that is the case, it's time to talk about rotating Bitcoin into alts, a process I've already begun. Okay, so the idea is traditionally you're better off buying only Bitcoin at the lows, riding it up as much as you can, and then rotating all those profits into altcoins before a full-fledged altcoin season. Now I understand that a lot of us aren't fully in Bitcoin. Even me, I only bought 20% Bitcoin at the lows. But even if you bought no Bitcoin and only alts, this video will still help because it'll give a very unique and interesting way to potentially know when altcoins will top. So the best way to show this is with examples. Here I have the AVAX Bitcoin chart, but with what I'm about to say, it applies to every altcoin. Okay, so traditionally, an alt Bitcoin chart will not be in trending formation. Instead, as Ben Cowan often says, at best, alt Bitcoin charts will act as oscillators, where they are range bound between a high and a low. So for AVAX BTC, that would be this high and this low. I believe that Dogecoin is the only crypto to have made a higher high against Bitcoin compared to a prior cycle, but not even ETH. Sol may have a chance, but in general, these crypto are range bound. Now, let me tell you why that is so significant during a time like this. Now, we all know how difficult it is to call tops. Pretty much impossible. But I believe using the Bitcoin chart could be one of the best ways. And over these next few weeks, I will continue rolling out these videos highlighting different top indicators. So make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, as it's about to be that time. So with AVAX here, I'm assuming that this is the Bitcoin low. From this point on, we should see AVAX outperform Bitcoin and now trend toward the other side of the range. And where it stops along the way will probably be the AVAX top in US dollars. So remember, we found support down here. So let's now mark the resistance areas. So we got one here at 6340 sats, and then this cluster here between around 9,000 to 12,000 sats. This will likely be the biggest challenge for AVAX this cycle, but then if it could overcome that, we got this here at around 15 to 16,000 sats, and then this huge cluster, you know what, around all-time highs. Now the first big tip, like I said, we likely won't break all-time highs, so that never happens. And now this will probably be the most important point so far. It depends on what the price of Bitcoin is during altcoin season. For example, last cycle, during that parabolic altcoin expansion, Bitcoin was was on around average at $55,000 for that Feb to May time period. But this will dictate everything with what you're about to see in a second. To make it nice and easy though, for this video, we'll assume that that price is 100,000. Fortunately, it seems like it's probably going to be higher, which is a very good thing. This is why I kept tweeting over and over again for the price of Bitcoin and for Bitcoin dominance to get as high as possible before an altcoin season so that we could have the max amount of liquidity go into alts. If you're not following me on Twitter, there's a link in description. That is where I give the quickest updates to stay on top of things. But now going back to AVAX, if Bitcoin is 100k and the all-time high for AVAX BTC is 25,000. That probably means that this cycle we won't see Avalanche get over $250. The first resistance for AVAX is at around 6,400 sats, which would put Avalanche at $64, but I think we clear that level. The real challenge will be up here at around 10,000 satoshis. If AVAX stalls out here, it'd mark a top between $90 and $110. This resistance zone is exactly where Avalanche stalled out during the run last year up to March. In December, it peaked at 11,000 and then in March at 9,500. But then notice that the USD value was greater in March than December. That's because the price of Bitcoin also changed quite a lot, going from 40,000 to 70. Okay, but now let's put all this knowledge together into one concise story. Assuming Bitcoin tops at 100k, which is a wrong assumption, it's probably going to be higher, but just for the sake of it, bear case, that would mean AVAX probably tops at $100. If it can get past that, then we're looking at the next level of resistance, which would be at around $150, which is again, coincidentally, where all-time highs are. But then, in my opinion, the best use case of this tool is if Avalanche breaks all-time highs against the US dollar. At that point, we get price discovery. So difficult to tell where it can top. But then if we reference the Bitcoin chart, there is a bunch of resistance between 20 and 25,000 sats, meaning AVAX probably tops between 200 and 250, as again, making highs against Bitcoin pretty much never happens. And if the USD value of Bitcoin is 200,000 and Avalanche tops in this zone up here, then one AVAX would be around $400. So I think an extremely useful technique to add to your toolkit. I understand if you're a bit new to the space, it may seem a bit confusing, but it's really not, just a small learning curve, which I'd highly recommend to get past. If you're completely new, there is 100 million Satoshi units per Bitcoin, and we're basically denominating each altcoin in a Bitcoin. So if AVAX BTC was 1, then 1 AVAX would be worth 1 Bitcoin. And if 1 Bitcoin is worth 100k, then an AVAX is worth 100k. But currently 1 AVAX is around 0.0005 times the price of a Bitcoin, so let's say 100k. 1 AVAX is therefore worth $45. Now in the advanced level of crypto, you mostly want to denominate your altcoins in Bitcoin, because if that altcoin is going nowhere but down against Bitcoin, which so many have been for a very long time, then you're just better off holding Bitcoin, which even I have to admit most of you probably should have done. But now we're approaching one of those rare time zones where you want to go from Bitcoin to altcoins, and with that rotation I highly recommend referencing the alt Bitcoin chart. So for example, Polkadot BTC literally going towards zero. However, assuming dominance has topped and altcoin season is upon us, this level around here at around 500 sats is likely our bottom for the time being. The all-time high is 10,000 satoshis, meaning DOT probably doesn't get more than $100, assuming 100k Bitcoin is where we top out. The first major resistance is right here at around 1200 sats. Then we got another one at 2000. If DOT could get past that, then we got this very harsh resistance between 2500 and 4000 sats, and that is probably where DOT tops this cycle, which 100k BTC would mean between 25 $25 and $40. Go try this out with your other altcoins. If you have any questions, obviously comment them. But a very big thing I want to point out is one of the main themes of my channel, the edge that bidding new price discovery bound crypto gives you, which is the fact that they're not bound to all of this. For example, Pepe BTC is currently at highs, so there's none of that resistance. This has the green light to get to any valuation versus Bitcoin. Same thing with Sui BTC. Even Tau Bitcoin, which put in its top in March. Going forward, it will have to do quite a bit to fight this resistance. So once Tau is going up and we're in this range, I would pay extremely close attention. But if it could get past it, then, well, you know the rest. I'm going to now point out some notable charts. For example, after ETH BTC, I'm looking at Sol BTC. All-time high is 46,000 Satoshis. Now, a lot of people would say that a 460 Sol is fair, but a lot of others got targets in the thousands. So it's going to be extremely interesting to see what plays out here. Now, probably one of the most interesting of them all is Cardano. The two tops from 2017 and 2021 results in this downtrend, and if ADA touches this trend line by even next year December, it would result in a price of well over $3. And maybe even more exciting is XRP Bitcoin, which is that because it's gotten so beaten from its all-time high versus Bitcoin, even a tiny reversal would be very bullish in terms of the US dollar. Right now, it is knocking at huge resistance, meaning XRP has either topped for this cycle, but if it can deviate and get back into the range, we'll get higher highs versus 2021 and a real possible shot that it'll make all-time highs as well. A lot of people are confused as to why these utility crypto like Cardano and XRP are pumping. The barrier to entry with these crypto and the unit bias is a thing, as people mentioned, but I think this whole Bitcoin dynamic is also playing a part. But overall, in summary, if you want to rotate from Bitcoin to small caps and or you want target USD levels, then reference the Bitcoin chart for that altcoin. The USD price that Bitcoin ranges at will dictate everything. Look into those assets making new highs versus Bitcoin right now. And yeah, but I'll leave it there for now. Shout out to Altura for sponsoring this video. And if you want to buy or trade any crypto, then sign up to those exchange links in the description. They're non-KYC. You can use them from anywhere in the world. Cheap fees, big bonuses, whatever. And until next time.